What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today what I wanted to do was to share some things that I learned at a mastermind that I went to in Miami. But first of all, I want to talk about how I feel like it's already impacted me in the last 24 to 48 hours. So on Sunday night, after the mastermind was over, me and the boys, we went out and we were out very late. We were out until say we got back at like 8 in the morning. It was a bender. It was crazy. And I felt like garbage. But we had um, our boot camp call Monday morning at 9:30 in the morning. And I had some chores to do. I had some I needed to just run some errands and stuff that morning. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do those even though I'm exhausted because I am on. And I'll explain more what that means in a little bit, but I stayed up for the mastermind, or not for the mastermind. I stayed up for the boot camp call, got on it, camera on, present, taking some notes, and I was like, this is really hard. And I was so tempted to just go to sleep and just conk out. And I was like, no, this is what's gonna make me better than all of the people that I've met in my life. That might seem a little bold, but I also don't give a fetch. I don't give a care about it. And so that was one application of it. And then the second application of it was I went to bed, blah, blah, got a few hours of sleep, doesn't matter. And then my flight was at 10 o'clock from the airport, and we had another call at 6:30 Eastern time. And I was like, dude, I want to take a nap in the airport right now because I was there early for my flight. And I turned on my camera. I was present. I was taking notes. And I was like, dude, I feel like I'm dumb. I feel like I look dumb. I feel like I can't think. I feel like I'm not absorbing anything. I started telling myself all these little excuses and reasons as to why it was acceptable for me to turn off my phone and leave the meeting and whatever. And then we also have this thing where you can basically put yourself in a position where you could potentially get called on to do a role play. And I put myself in that position because I was like, dude, like, I don't want to be chosen right now, but if it happens, I'm gonna deal with it, even if it makes me look stupid, because I am changing who I am. And so I was on the call for like an hour and a half, but then I did leave a little early, truth be told, because I needed food because I was so hungry, I was dying. So I did default a little bit. However, I did build up in myself a little bit of momentum by taking exactly what I learned over the weekend and I applied it the very next day to myself, even though I didn't want to. I had so many things working against me from a physiological standpoint and from a mental standpoint, but primarily a physiological standpoint, to where, like, it was almost unreasonable that I was doing what I was doing, but I did it anyway. And so that's what this weekend did for me, is it helped me change into realize that I need to be intentional with everything that I do, and I need to truly be focused on the stuff that I want. Because if I don't choose my career, if I don't choose what I want, then it will be chosen for me. And chances are I won't like it. And even if it's something positive and good, I won't like it that much because it's not something that I earned or wanted, if that makes any sense. But the primary reason for this video, though, is I just wanted to recap for myself and anyone who watches this video, if that's anybody. But I just wanted to recap the stuff that I learned over the weekend. And it's going to be very shorthand and weird, and I'll probably go on some tangents and just share what I remember about certain shorthand notes that I took in my little MC journal. Lovely little journal. And so that's the plan. And so it was a really, really good mastermind overall. I definitely felt like I was masterminding. And it was good. And so, okay. So, one thing at the beginning of the conference that we talked about, and I'll call it a conference and a mastermind, and just a bunch of synonyms of the word business gathering. I'll use a bunch of synonyms, so don't hold that against me. But the thing that I got from the beginning of the beginning of the first day was about ambition, and how our ambition and the things that I do, like the things that I do, should not change based upon the outcome. So my input doesn't change regardless of the outcome. In a positive way, obviously take it with a grain of salt. But if I am going to make, I don't know, 150 cc's, I'm going to do it. And if I close 30% of those cc's, I'm going to get the rest of my cc's in, you know. But if I call all of them and I don't have the opportunity to close them, then I do it anyway. Just do it anyway. Like, that's the thing. Do it anyway. And so that's something that I got. And then let's see, trigger. Oh yeah, and then the other thing is keeping people accountable. So like, keep your homies accountable. Like, if they share a goal with you or whatever, make sure they do it. And I myself am trying to take advantage of that. Like, I have a commitment to write an objection script, because I feel like I need to work on objections. And the thing is, it's not because I am going to give scripted responses to the objections that people give me, but who learns more? The guy who wrote the objection script, or the guy who reads it? The guy who wrote it. The guy who wrote it knows it because he created it. Okay? Just like I created this bicep, I'm going to create a freaking rock solid objection script. And so, yeah. And then you also have to stay away from people who just have mouse thinking. And I'll try to pick this up, but this could honestly turn into like an hour-long video. We'll see. My prediction is 39 minutes. That's my prediction. Oh yeah, and then another thing is, like, dude, if your goals, and this is actually a good reminder, is if your goals don't inspire you to push through the hard times, they're not big enough. And so, like, for me, I have a goal to make $501,000, or $501,000 in a year, and what that breaks down to is 41,777 and some change every single month. And so if you break that down further, that's a little over $1,000 a day. It's like, dude, that's attainable. It would be so hard because I would have to be closing probably $2,000, or I'd have to be collecting, $2,000 a day in commissions to make up for just stuff, just like times when leads aren't as good, blah blah blah, yada yada. And so it would be very challenging, but that's a real goal that I have, and it inspires me because it will create for me the life that I want, and just the outcome that I'm seeking in life, and the security that I'm seeking, and the opportunity to help other people get in better places. Because like that's where I'm at. Is I am super blessed already, but I want to make so much money and have so much security that I can help other people get in even better places than I am, because they are currently in worse places than I am. And so I just want to help people have more abundance in their life, because a lot of people don't have a lot. And a lot of people operate under the pretense that they need stuff. I need a Lamborghini, or not. That's way too far, actually. People think, oh, like, I need to go on a nice trip with my family. And so they try to justify. Dude, don't justify. You don't need almost anything. Like, this sip of water I'm about to take, I don't really need that. I don't need that. I 100% don't need that. I want it. Because what we need in life truly is so, so, so small. And so if we operate from the standpoint of needing things, we won't go very far, because then you have to justify, and it's also just not a very attractive energy to anybody. Like, the girl who needs a boyfriend, yuck. I don't want to date her. I don't want to have a relationship with her. But the girl who wants a boyfriend, and she doesn't have to justify or reason and convince herself or other people why she wants a boyfriend. She just wants it because she wants it. Like, that's fine. That's attractive energy. That's something that I want to be around. She has a goal, objective, whatever, and it's like, okay, like, let's see what works. But the overarching principle is need-based thinking and operating is a bad way to operate. And so we're only 2 pages into my notes, but we talked about a principle of trust versus truth as well. And what I remember is there are truths in this world, but it doesn't matter if they aren't delivered through the medium of trust. So I could have the best thing in the world. I could have this magic crypto offer that if you invest in and you're a part of, you are going to make tens of thousands of dollars a month, and you are going to have the life that you want. That's true. That could be true. And let's say it is true. But if you don't trust me, it doesn't matter. And so one way to arrive at truth is by basically stacking, like asking questions that stack other bits of truth on top of each other. And so I think like a way to do that is like, okay, Mr. Prospect, do you really feel like if you had world-class support and if you had, if you have world-class support, this is really hard actually, because I need to flesh this out actually myself. I'm going to make a note of this, of like how I can build trust. Okay, build trust. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But that's how you get your prospect to get and accept truth, is you get them to trust you by building on small things that they can reason themselves or things that they feel are true. So anyway, kind of convoluted, but I'm going to figure it out. This was just a quote about like how to get people to take action, I think. And it's like, you can talk to a prospect and be like, prospect, like, you've seen the proof, but you have butterflies. But don't you think in order to see massive growth, you're going to have to take action you haven't taken before that makes you uncomfortable? And that's something that a prospect can say yes to. So I actually want to get better at like this sort of reasoning. It's like, okay, Mr. Prospect, so you've seen our testimonials, you've seen our track record, you have seen part of what we offer, and it seems pretty good. But you want to go somewhere you haven't gone before, and you have an opportunity that you haven't had before. And so don't you think you'd have some butterflies with this? And don't you think that going forward to go somewhere you've never been, you're going to have to do things that you haven't done before? That could be a way to ask that. Fortune is not in the follow-up. Fortune is in the attempts. And so that's one thing that Daniel G., so look him up on Instagram, Danny G., he talked about with me in my sales agency, is the fortune is in the follow-up. Because if you think that you are just like going to call your prospect, try to sell them, and go for one close, that you're going to make a lot of money. No, sir. And in our day and age, selling, it has to happen faster. It has to happen on less one-on-one interactions, because we're so easily distracted. And so, excuse me. And so what I need to do and what people need to do is you need to close on the first attempt. No, close on the first attempt. You need to ask for the close and make several attempts in the same interaction is what it is. So it's like, you're way better off to make one phone call and go through objection handling 4 times and actually close the deal than you are to call them fumble, call them, fumble, call them, fumble, call them, close. Like, what sounds better, the former or the latter? Obviously, the former. So that's something, that was a golden nugget that I picked up, is fortune is in the attempts. Um, and then also one thing is your heartbeat. If your heartbeat goes up in any situation, it's because you aren't trained. Within reason, obviously, athletics are a little different, because you want your heart to be beating hard so you can perform. But if someone comes up to me and they're like, "What's your name?" It's Cade. I know my name. I've been trained on my name. Someone asks me to show them how to bench press. I'm like, easy. I can show you. Even though it's a very technical thing, I can teach it. Some people it might make them nervous, right? But if someone gives me an objection, they're like, "Oh, I need to talk to my wife." If I'm like, "Oh, crap, I hate this objection," my heart rate is going to go up, and I'm not going to perform that good. Why? Because I haven't been trained, and I'm a rookie. And so there's 3 types of people. There's shoulders up people, so people that are like this, they're kind of defensive and that sort of thing. You just have to get them to lower their shoulders and to relax. And a way that you can do that is basically by neutralizing them. If they're like, "Hey, I'm not interested. I don't want to be talking to you about, I don't know, the warranty on my car." And it's like, "No, totally cool. I don't want to, give you something that you don't need. I just wanted to call you to, I don't know. I don't even know anything about car sales, but you just have to find a way to neutralize it." And so I think that's a big thing that I've learned about sales and closing, is we need to figure out how to neutralize the emotions that people have that are negative, because that's what people need. Like, our subconscious and the animalistic part of our minds, it just tries to preserve ourselves and our bodies and our lives, but it often does that at the expense of having a great life. And so so there's shoulders up type of people. There's people who just want to like steal information, and then there's people who are just hype. And so I didn't honestly get to really figure out like what all that was about. But I think to further carry on with the neutralization thing, so if someone's like, "Hey, I'm not interested," if just validating them and being like, "Yeah, totally, man. Like, I see why you're not interested. I don't even know if I have anything for you, and so I'm not going to be pushing anything on you. Like, I hate it when people try to push things on me, and then you can just like get back into conversation and ask them about whatever next thing that you've already built rapport with them about. And that might even be just like, "And how's your day going? Like, what have you been up to? Like, how's business? How's whatever?" And then just get back into the flow of conversation. And people are good. People will really think like, "F this guy, I want him to F off," but they'll be like, "Yeah, I'll call you back tomorrow." And so often objections and stuff are just people just trying to be nice. And so that's just something to keep in mind, is most people aren't trying to screw me over. They are just trying to be nice and not be straight up with me, but I don't care. I want them to be straight up with me. So that's the one thing. Oh yeah, and then this is a thought, is I need to care more about my paycheck than I do about how dumb or how vulnerable I am with a prospect. Like, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. And it's true. It's like, these people, if I have something that's going to benefit them, it's my ethical responsibility to make sure that they get it. And if I have to put myself in an uncomfortable situation to get there, great. It's fantastic. Oh yeah, and then building rapport is like soccer. It's back and forth. And one way to measure, I guess, rapport should be like this. It should start small, and then it should grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And the distance between you and your prospect when you kick the ball back and forth is almost like what I interpret as is, it's like the level of vulnerability, because like when you first start taking it, start building rapport, it's like shorter stuff, you know, like, hey, how's it going? Like, how's your business going? How's your job 9 to 5, or your student, whatever. Like, oh, I work. I have a 9 to 5. It's like, oh, cool, man. Like, what do you do? I'm an accountant. Oh, cool. How are you liking accounting? Oh, it's good. You know, I blah blah blah. But then you get them to open up more, and so like it started off like close over here, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger because they're like, well, I really hate filing financial statements and that sort of thing because you know it's a lot of extra work, but I don't get paid any extra. And it's like, oh man, like how does it feel to be doing extra work and not being paid any extra? Oh man, it sucks. And like I it just makes me feel like I'm less than, and it just it's hard because I feel like if I worked hard at something else, I could, you know, be compensated better and live a better life. And oh yeah, totally, man. And like, what things do you feel like you've missed out on because you've been providing value and then not compensated fairly in return? Well, I feel like I could be living a better life in a nicer house, blah blah blah, something like that. So just kind of a mess that I'm throwing out there, but I'm getting it dialed in. That's what this video is about. And then just be authentic. Like, I think this is later in my notes, but don't like say stuff you mean. Like, and I could do better with that on this video, is I need to say stuff that I mean instead of trying to just deliver something through a filter for fear of looking dumb. And so I need to just be totally authentic now. I need to be totally authentic with my prospects. I need to just be myself. I need to say things that I mean and say things that I believe. And what else? Don't fire off questions. I'm tired. And then one cool segue that I like when getting into vision with people is like, never mind. Oh yeah, and then just a thing to just tell people is like business is like a bike, or success is like a bike. You're gonna ride it and you're gonna fall sometimes, but are you gonna stay off the bike and be limited in how fast and far you can go, or are you gonna get back on the bike? What are you gonna do? You gonna get back on the bike? It's up to you. So there's that. Oh, and then just the beginning of this video, I talked about just like turning yourself on and just being on. Mike Schill is the guy who really put that out there for me, which I really appreciated. And so that's where that comes from. So I got to the notes on him. And so what are some gems? Yeah, LeBron is LeBron even when no one's around, and Kobe is Kobe even when no one is around. And so I need to be a very high level of myself even when no one is around, right? Because what you do in private will be manifested in public, right? Like the man who sweats more in training will bleed less and more, right? Doesn't matter how you, I don't know, how much you show stuff off. What's important is what you actually do when no one is looking. Yeah, and then like one thing as well with sales is like I need to be sold myself, like on whatever thing that I'm selling, like, and I also need to be sold on myself and my ability, which I am, for better and for worse. And then another thing is like, dude, some people have a presence. Like the guy Mike Schill, that guy has an aura about him. Like he walked in, and I was like, yo, this guy's a chief. And it wasn't even just because he's jacked. Because the same thing about Daniel G. He's actually a pretty small guy. Um, and but like, dude, he has an aura. Like, there's something to him. And so, yeah, it's yeah, have your aura. I need to have my aura. Like, what is my aura? Like, dude, you get your aura, in my opinion, from how you do everything. That's how it works. Like, your aura comes from, how you brush your teeth. Your aura comes from how you drive your car, how you keep your car clean, how you um, remember and schedule stuff, yada, yada, yada. And so, yeah, just something I'm thinking of. Yeah, and this is another thing. If my prospect really feels like what they're investing into will really work, they will do it. It's pretty simple. And then I'm just looking at my objection handling stuff, which I'll make another video on later. And then something I learned from Aman, one of my coaches, is he talked about like having your intention. And yeah, you just have to have intent with everything that you do. And so if I have the intent of like just collecting a paycheck, people are going to sense that. They're not going to like it. But if they know that my intent is to help them, then they're going to love it. And I'm going to love it. And then a great question that Rome gave us was, what do you do with your actions? What do you do when your actions align with your goals, but you don't reach your goals? What do you do? Do you keep grinding? Do you trust the process? I thought that was really good because it just shows how valuable it is to really, I guess, have the right thing in front of you or the right thing that you're working on. And that's something only you can know. But you have to understand that like input does not equal output on the timeline that I may want it to. And so I just thought that was interesting and I liked it. Oh, and then, yeah, I thought this was insane. 90% of our emotions are the same every day. And I thought to myself, like, that's crazy. Like, that means I've basically lived the same day over and over again for a very long time. And so I need to, like, if I want my life to change and be different and be better, then I need to go feel some different emotions, which means I need to do different things. So that's something. Yeah, I need to check my frequency. I need to figure out what my mindset is. And so I have this extra journal. And what I'm going to do is at the end of every day, I'm going to write down something I learned, something I'm grateful for, something that stressed me out, and how I'm going to do better the next day. I write down those 4 things every day. And so, yeah, that's that. Yeah. And then a crazy question that I was asked is, what is the last conversation that I had that was just so good and I wish I could have it again? And I thought about it, and I had a conversation with one of my good friends just the other day, and we're both trying to understand ourselves better. But it was such a great conversation, and the reason why I felt it was great is because I thoroughly questioned him curiously, and I also shared some stories with him to help him feel understood. And I think we both just felt insanely understood by one another because he did the same for me, and we're both in sales. And so we just were able to gel on that. And so I just want to implement that more into my sales conversations, which is really hard to do on role plays because people don't have, I mean, in my experience, it's just very different. So anyway, I have to keep pushing because I'm tired right now. And then I need to immerse myself in work. And then Dylan laid out just some things that basically dictate how much money people make. So 5K, the way you get to 5K is numbers. The way you get to 10K is your mindset. The way you get to 15K is you have to actually have skills. 20K is about being efficient, and then 20K plus is about just like not getting complacent about the amount of money that you're making, and like taking your foot off the gas as your skills and everything goes up. And so it's just a combination of those things. So that was pretty good. And then for me, dude, I want to be the top 0.0001%. Because why not? Why not? Someone has to do it. Someone has to do it. And I don't feel content with myself because like I am in the top. I am in the top single percentages of different things. Like I'm 22 and I make pretty good money technically. If you look at like the national average, I might be in the top 10%. I don't know. But in terms of like physical feats, I'm in the top probably 5% in the country. Maybe even better. And just things like that. And then anyway, I'm rambling, but I'm already like top 1%, top single percentages of other things. So why not double down on this skill that is going to change my life? Or just all of my skills, and just, I don't know, like being focused and getting good as hell is a no-brainer. Like it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's so simple, but it just takes a lot of work. But I'm here for the work. So let's go. I have a split lip up here. And so I'm grimacing sometimes and I pull weird faces. But this video is terrible. I don't want to post this on the internet, but I'm going to do it. Yeah. And then one thing that I got from what Misha said is he talked about like reframing your vision. And like your vision is not something you have, it's something you build. I think that's what he said. And I thought about that because like my vision over the last like 6 months to a year has changed a lot. And for a second I was concerned because it's like, oh, what if I don't have a vision anymore? And it's like, nope, I still have a vision. It's changed. And so that's something to keep in mind. Yeah. Yeah, and then I did some objection handling towards the end of the day on day 2, and I need to neutralize faster. And then I also need to not laugh. And then also like a question you can ask your prospect is like, okay, like when it comes to everything that we offer with the monthly calls and the weekly coin emails and with the access to the wealth building events and all of these things, do you really feel like you can actually get to your goal of making 10 grand a month? Yes, I do. Okay. And you said earlier that you've been thinking about joining other programs and that sort of thing. So how could you justify spending 5K compared to 2K on a program? And then they'll start to sell themselves a bit. Well, I can justify it because of ABC and XYZ reasons. So I thought that was like kind of an interesting way to, I guess, get people to just basically realize and verbalize with you authentically how they actually feel. Because if you don't, like, if you get them to do it in front of you on a call, then they won't be doing that later, and they won't, I guess, feel bad or have buyer's remorse if they feel like it truly was their decision and they weighed it out. Because honestly, yeah, weighing things out verbally and mentally does a lot when it comes to buyer's remorse and that sort of thing. So I thought that was good. Um, yeah, and then with objections, more stuff. People either object because of certainty, value, or money. It's usually money, but it can be certainty and value as well. But all of that circles back around to money. So I thought that was interesting how, yeah, you got to do that. And then just be cool. Be a cool guy. Oh, yeah. And this is fun. This is coming to my head right now. If I get on the phone with someone and I close, I go for I ask for the close. And they're like, what? Like, man, I feel kind of ripped off. Like, you're just trying to upsell me. And then a way to neutralize that is to be like, yeah, man, I totally hear you. Getting upsold isn't fun, and let me ask you, when it comes to what you want, you know, don't you feel like with what what you're trying to get, you're gonna need more than what you currently have? Like, maybe that could be a way to neutralize. Now that I've verbalized that, sounds dumb, feels dumb. We'll see about this. Um, yeah. And then other thing is like challenge people to work their asses off. This is a good thing to do in objection handling, just to make it more real. And then also don't be afraid to ask people for money. Cause like, dude, it's a sale. Like they want something and they need something and it takes money. So why am I going to dance around it? So I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's so crazy. Like everything I just covered was in these little pages, but I feel like I changed and grew and learned so much more than what's on these pages. Um, but it truly was great stuff, and I feel like I've changed, and I feel a new energy in me, because I feel like I've broken some bands within myself, and I think everybody can. And so, being around good people, great people, powerful people, and people who are in places that you want to be is a beautiful way to transform your life. Have a good one, guys. Out.